Oral habilitation is intervention aimed at young children to help them learn to listen and talk. It's not called oral rehabilitation because these children are born without hearing and without language. So if it were rehabilitation, that might be something that you would do on an older adult that had had hearing at some point and then lost it. So oral habilitation, when we're working with young children that have never heard or learned to talk. It's carried out by parents, guided by auditory verbal therapists, teachers of the hearing impaired, pediatric audiologists, and speech pathologists. Remember, I said auditory verbal therapy is something that you might want to look into if you have an interest in working with children that have hearing loss. It's a collaborative process between the professionals and the parents. So, the discovery of a child's hearing loss is likely to evoke many emotions, and it can be long lasting and it can be recurring. Parents have to come to terms with life experiences that are different from what they expected. So, they had 9 months preparing for what they thought would be a hearing child. And they now find out at birth that their child is not hearing. So their expectations are changed. And parents are required to act immediately despite all the emotions that come along with having a child that has hearing loss. It's important for you as a professional to be sensitive and respectful of the parents learning these skills and things that they were not planning on doing or learning. So parents, they have so much on their shoulders to begin with, and now they have all these additional expectations that they weren't planning on. So a parent's abilities needs to be considered. Teaching a child to listen and talk might be easier for a parent than for a parent learning sign language. I know that would be true for me. It would be easier for me to work to have my child to learn spoken language than for me to go learn sign language. I just know myself well enough. The discovery of a child's hearing loss is a shock. Remember, the majority of children are born to parents that have normal hearing. So they have all of these feelings that they have to cope with in addition to these new demands on their time, energy, thinking, and patience. Early identification and early intervention are a game changer, and most parents agree that they were happy to find out early on that their child had a hearing loss rather than waiting to figure it out on their own. There are waves of grief, reassurance, hope, and distress. So like I said, remember 90-95% of these babies are born with hearing loss to parents that have normal hearing, so shock. There is a period of grief. The child that they expected is gone. There's emotional turmoil. They have to change their expectations. They might have unconscious biases about people with hearing loss and a strong desire for things to remain the way they were. These stages of grieving that I'm going to talk about, they don't necessarily go in order. It's not like, okay, I'm done with denial, I can move on to guilt. They could co-occur. You could go back and forth between these feelings. So denial of the diagnosis, of the permanence of the hearing loss, of the impact of the hearing loss in the child's life, guilt that they caused the hearing loss or that they're being punished for something bad that they did in their life, depression, feeling incompetent or impotent that they're not able to cure or take away the hearing loss. They might be mad at themselves for not being able to prevent the hearing loss, or incompetent, like they're not going to be able to deal with all the demands that come along with the hearing loss and the technology associated with it. Anger for the injustice of the hearing loss. Anger about the unasked demands on their time, energy, finances, and emotions. I could see me being very angry about the new demands on my time and money and all these things that these fraught parents or new parents, they have so much going on, so much to do, and now the hearing loss on top of it. Anxiety that they're not going to be able to live up to what their child needs. And like I said, all of these feelings are natural and normal and perhaps necessary. Hopefully your family has a good sense of self-efficacy and they're able to generate new dreams and new hopes for their child. And they're beginning to cope and they're beginning to feel that they're competent and they're able to do the best that they can for that child and that the child will be okay. So the best thing you can do is convey an attitude of acceptance of whatever the parent's emotional states are. You want to have good interpersonal skills. You don't want to say, why do you feel that way? You shouldn't feel that way. You want to be accepting and empathetic and generous listener, kind when dealing with the parents. If it seems like the parents are having a very hard time dealing with the diagnosis, refer. You're not a psychologist, you're not a psychiatrist. If it seems that the parents are having a very hard time with the hearing loss, refer. Always respond empathetically, directly, honestly, personal confirmation of the person, empathetic, showing active listening. You're not to judge the parents or their feelings. You can't say, why are you angry that your child has hearing loss? That's nothing to be angry about. You're just there to guide the parents in a professional manner through the next steps. With acceptance and personal confirmation, parents can constructively cope with the emotional impact of hearing loss. Support from spouses, friends, religious groups, community and parent groups. Parents love, they say it's very beneficial to be introduced to other parents that have children with hearing loss. With coping, you want to strengthen the parents' feelings of confidence, like they're able to do this, they can do this, and that the child will develop. Parent network groups are really important. The mutual support groups with hope and relief, cohesiveness. There's a reason that Weight Watchers groups work and Alcoholics Anonymous groups work. Support groups where you don't feel so alone. And unfortunately, intervention cannot be delayed until a parent reaches some mythical level of perfect coping. Hearing aids should be immediately selected, fitted, worn, and maintained. The child needs to be exposed to spoken language as soon as possible and expected to listen and vocalize and verbalize. So you don't have to, or you can't wait for the parents to get to this perfect level of satisfaction with the child's hearing loss. It has to start immediately.